everybody. Um, Something new for me. I did a tequila tasting with my family, with my sisters and their husbands, um, after Christmas, and we each brought bottles. I I had three bottles in particular that I was bringing, um, and we'll go through all of those. I brought the Lost Lord Tahona Blanco. I brought the Tequila Ocho Añejo that was the special bottle with it was done in Old Fitz barrels. So a specialty bottle, to be sure, a limited release. My third bottle was a Reposado from Cascahuin. Um, Private barrel, House of Rare. Um, this beautiful baby right here. Um, this was the Private Barrel PX, age 6 months, at 44%. Have never to that day tasted this. This brings, and we had some other ones. We had, I'll get back to this bottle, but we had Fortaleza and Yeho. We had Yayo, Rosa Reposado, Cascahuin, Rosa Reposado, um, uh, Tequila Ocho Blanco, and then we also had Cambio and Yeho. Those were the. We had a couple other ones. The couple other ones were to show you what good tequila is versus mediocre or even not all that good. We had a brand that my sister and her husband bought. I was with them. We were in Mexico and we bought a house brand at a restaurant down in Cabo San Lucas, and it was it shows you what sells, what's easy to drink. Um, it was overly sweet. It was overly fruit forward. Additives. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's additive. It's clear as a bell and no orange juice, and it tastes like oranges. But anyway, um, so we started out with the two that were and then we said, okay, first thing we started with was the Ocho Blanco, and it was like, whoa, that's a big difference. These are two. My little sister and her husband, Melissa and Dan. They're not as knowledge forward as Valerie and Brad and I, because we've done this for a little while and gone to Mexico 3 times. Um, but we have a little more experience in knowing what's good, what's not good. So, long story short, it was an educational experience for them. They got to learn a lot, and we introduced them to some really, really good tequilas. And showing the differences between like the Ocho Blanco and then the Lost Lore Blanco Tahona, and the differences in the flavor just by the differences of how it's processed, and how it's cooked and so on. So, and explaining, tequila has 3 ingredients, but there's so many different things you can change that change the flavor profile. And then we got into aged experiences, aged expressions. Eye-opening, even so one of one of them, especially for us, this thing opened some eyeballs. I tried to put it off to the last, and I couldn't do it. We were going by expression, but I did make this the last Reposado. So like I said, had a great time getting through all those bottles. My brother-in-law Dan, just like my brother-in-law Brad, I'm not going to say avid bourbon drinkers, but they claim to be bourbon drinkers. Though I may have converted one majorly, just in one evening. So anyway, of course we all love the Old Fitz Ocho Añejo. It has enough of the barrel influences from the Old Fitz bourbon barrels to impact. It's been in there long enough. You can see it up there on the top of the shelf. I always point the wrong way, right above my finger. It got a little taken out of it, Not quite as much as this because we kept coming back to this one a little bit. But my sister bought some Cambio Añejo, which was in ex Chardonnay and cognac barrels. That bottle was half empty by the time I left. I think everybody really, really enjoyed that one as well. Easy to drink, price-wise, easily replaceable. And that's the premise of my video today is like, how far do you go? How much do you spend to get and I don't want to call them unicorn bottles, because there's unicorn bottles out there that are truly, truly unicorns. These are special bottles you save for a special occasion. These are bottles that you maybe see some people never open. I mean, eventually they do, but they hold on to them for a long, long time. They wrap them in parafilm and they put them back in a dark place, and they'll never see the light of day. I'm not going to say I've done that. I have done that, but it's only because of a constraint of space. Now they're all out here. My office here has got shades. It's getting a little bit of light, but not ever, direct sunlight. But out of all the bottles that are up on that shelf, I mean, right now, all of the Fortaleza bottles are all, except for the winter blends, they're all, it's because I've drank everything that was in front of them. They're unopened. The Blanco, the Still Strength, the Reposado, the Añejos, those are unopened. The winter blends have small amounts in them, and they're parafilmed. Otherwise, other than a couple Cascahuins, which we'll get to for obvious reasons, they're not open. I mean, my Plata 48, my Tahona Blanco, all the olive oil bottles, I have the Blanco, Repo, and Añejo, which I got in Mexico, are all open. Now, the 375s, of course, are not open. Those are, especially the Tahona. That was just because I wanted a mini bottle. And then the second bottle, that's my mistake. I thought it was a full-size bottle when I bought it online. It was one of those ones it's a Tahona Reposado, finished in French oak and done in French oak. I thought it was a 750. Wasn't really paying attention. I was tired, and I wanted it. And it was after I had bought this bottle as well, and it was more expensive. Thinking it was a full-size bottle, I was like, oh, I could justify it in my head. And then I get it, boy, this box feels light, and it was a 375. No fault to anybody. It's me not paying attention, and one day I will open it, but I got to looking that I don't think any of those were done in 750s. I can't find any anywhere. I may not be looking in the right place. I think they were all done in 375s because it was a 4-bottle series. But I've got a couple other bottles that are just as hard to find, maybe, that are open. I've got some that are just as expensive or more expensive that are open and over half gone. So talking about when do you break down and spend that money? When do you not? We say, oh, I'll never buy a bottle that costs more than, well, in my opinion, and we'll leave it at that. Tequila's an imported. It's an import. It doesn't made here in the U.S. Its primary sales on almost everything up there, highest amount of sales is in the U.S. We love our tequilas, but there are some tequilas that are so limited production and sometimes only Mexican release only, or Mexico release only. I shouldn't say it that way. But that makes and then secondary pricing on top of that. But there's bottles like Reposado Rare. That's at one point I know it was going for at least $400 a bottle on secondary. It doesn't normally cost that. And then of course you've got El Tesoro limited releases out of the Mundial series or their anniversary series. I know that the 85th anniversary El Tesoro retails at anywhere from $400 to $500 a bottle. in the box. And then there's Fortaleza winter blends that, by the time they make them up here, they're selling them for $325, $425, depending on what series it is. There's bottles that command that kind of pricing, and they're exceptional bottles. But to whose palate, to your personal palate, what makes you decide to spend that kind of money? And in my defense, I'm just crazy about tequila, and I have enough resources to buy these occasionally. It's not a regular occasion, though. I think one of my buddies at work seems to think so. But I'm always on the look for a special bottle or a special blend that somebody does, and like the Ocho barrel proof series. That really, really, really. I bought both the Repo and the Añejo at barrel strength. Those are delicious bottles. I have of course, I said I had the old Fitz Añejo. I have a Widow Jane Reposado from years back. It's the old style bottle. El Tesoro, I have the Knob Creek. That seemed to be my favorite. Everybody keeps telling me I need to try the Mizunera, the new Mizunera on the Mundal series. And some single barrel, I think a little bit of single barrel Reposado left. And then, just other special releases that you can kind of see those from behind me of a few bottles. The Pardilla that the New York, New Jersey Agave Club did. I've got some single barrels of Jaguar back there. But getting back to Cascahuin. Cascahuin has been I've kind of become a little bit of a fanboy and been chasing some bottles down. Chava and I became friends on Facebook 2 years ago. I was just curious. He accepted my invitation, and he accepted, and he was what little I have communicated with him has been very forward, and we missed getting to meet him when we were in Mexico. Schedules were tight for us, and I was trying to get a driver to stop on the way back to Guadalajara from Tequila to stop at the distillery, and that just wasn't going to happen. So we actually went to their offices in Guadalajara and got a couple things, shirts, a couple bottles. But the distillery only bottles like this. Only available at the distillery. The new 70th anniversary bottles, only available at the distillery. The Ananda bottles, only available at the distillery. There's such limited runs. They kept some for themselves, and who picked the private barrel got the rest of it. Or they're just selling them at the distillery, period. So, what makes some of these bottles, and there's more and more. I know private barrels from Cascahuin, especially Reposados, are not uncommon, but finding that special bottle. I had been looking around. Total Wine does them occasionally. There's certain places on the West Coast and on the East Coast that get them. They go down to Cascahuin. They do do whatever they do to get the private barrels, and they bring them back. But this one, I watched one that went to New York. It was a Reposado. I'm not sure what it was finished with, but I noticed on the label it was 7 months. This one's only 6. And it was very light in color. Of course, this has some way different characteristics than the other ones, because this was done in a private PX barrel, which is the Pedro Jimenez Spanish sherry barrels, which then constitutes the color. Now, I am going to try my best to show you that color. I watched a video of somebody who did a review of this and then had a bottle of, you can see it right there. That's the extra añejo. This one's actually darker, just by a smidgen. And that's an añejo that's like 3 years old. This is 6 months. So the sherry barrel had a great influence on it. This is 44% ABV. I poured this for my family, and we sat down and we talked. I talked about it a little bit, and the nosing, just the aromas coming off of it. My brother-in-law Brad went, "You found another one?" I was like, "Yeah, I found another one, and you and I are tasting this for the first time." And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And we really enjoyed this. I would put this up where with, well, Fortaleza Añejo has a special place in my heart. Tears of Llorona has a place in my heart as very exceptional bottles. Part of that is the hard to get, along with the Reposado Rare. There's another one. Hard to get, not easily available, only limited amount, but exceptional bottles in aromas, in flavors that just don't compare to anything else. And so my ambition to collect some of those and share those with some friends and family, you sometimes want to just, if you come by my house and you ask me, I'll give you some. Am I going to give you a sample of it? Probably not. But if you come to my house, we'll sit down and we'll drink some. And we'll drink out of the other 80 some odd bottles I have up here. If it's not open and I have multiples of it, I'll probably open it. That's what my collection was for. Collect a few rare things, collect a lot of stuff that we can find. It may not be here for me like in Kansas City, but I can find them somewhere else, have them shipped to my house for us to enjoy. That was my goal, always has been, was to share more than just sit on the shelf and look pretty. And I will continue to do that. And I'm getting ready, I'm adding more bottles as we come along. I have a bottle of Magenta that was gifted to me that's on its way. I have some bottles that I bought that are actually mezcal, but it's tequila. It's just in the wrong state. So, La Leyenda Mezcal is Blue Weber agave. It's cooked like tequila. It's aged like tequila, but it's so small batch. And it is right up there in pricing with like Fortaleza. It's that small batch, that small, So, insane that. What justifies it? Your heart, your pocketbook, of course. But I mean, again, there's tequilas that are special to you. They're special to me, like Zumbador. I have all 3 expressions up on the shelf. Love them all, and for their price, you can buy them every day. I just got to run over across the state line to go get them because I live in Missouri and they're not here yet. But then there's like Cambio. Oh my God, Cambio is an exceptional tequila out the gate. They do things just a little bit different, and yet they do things a lot of things traditionally that make it a really, really good and easy to drink tequila, and memorable. You don't find that, anywhere. Cambio's Añejo reminds me of Tears, and certainly probably because of the cognac. It has that richness to it that almost takes it out of the realm of tequila to something else. Those are delicious tequilas. So, you do what your heart tells you. And this is where going to bars and restaurants that have very vast tequila selections and trying some of these ones you just can't get your hands on. I wished I would have done this before tasting this, but the great surprise of opening this bottle and how much joy it brought to me, as well as my family, on tasting something that was this exceptional. Chava, you did a great job. I know you probably don't watch my channel or see any of my updates, but you did a great job with this, and it just makes me want to find more. I'm hoping my nephew, who's in Mexico at this filming, is finding me something from Cascahuin that I can't find here. Good luck to him. If he doesn't, he doesn't. I'll just keep plugging away here at home. But let's taste some tequila. I just was really, I won't say overwhelmed, but I was very pleasantly surprised at the aroma. I'm going to give you a really good look at the color of this. It looks very brown in this camera. I can tell you at certain points it looks extremely red under the right light. There are fruit notes out the wazoo. Very aromatic. There's cooked agave in there. Fruit. Maybe a little floral in there as well. It's very soft. At 88 proof, you would think it would be a little more, I'm not going to say harsh, but it would be maybe a little alcohol forward. No, it's not. You get all the wonderful aromas that you normally probably would find in an añejo tequila, and this is a reposado. So the sherry cask really influences this a lot. But again, it's also under the care, of the Rosales family at Cascahuin. This tequila is just something exceptional. I am really curious to try more private barrels from them as that availability comes along. Yes, I will be opening, wrong finger, I will be opening that bottle there. Just when? I don't know. I've had the SVD, which is right behind it. That's actually bottle number 3 for me. That's what's gotten me majorly hooked into Reposados from Cascahuin. That bottle is, of course, is unopened because I've already gone through 2. It's just, I made it harder for me to do it. Again, special occasion, that won't come open. But yeah, this is just fruit forward out the wazoo. Lots of cooked agave. The sweetness is just, let's give her a taste. Salud. Just tears running down the glass. Wow. Cooked agave up front. Nice heat from the 88 proof. This is my first sip of tequila today, so. But man. There's all kinds of, I'm getting that, a little bit of that sherry. I'm getting some of the oak, in that flavor profile. There's just like other fruits that I can't put my finger on, but it's very kind of fruit forward. And but the cooked agave is there. The minerality from it is there. This should be the same the same recipe that like Plata 48 would be, just at a lower proof. Yeah. Wow. And the more you drink this, the easier it goes down. This is so tasty. I would prepare filming this thing after I get done with this, saving it for another party. But this is so good. if you come across it at a reasonable price, what do you, Chris, what do you call a reasonable price? Well, let's get back to me hunting for this. So I found this probably through Doug Price at Agave Social Club. Through his review, that may be the first time I came across it, and then I saw that Greg and Lou had done a video of it on Lou's channel, and there was a couple other ones, and the reviews on it were just, wow, what is this? Where did this come from? It's so dark. La, 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 la. And then they found out it was Reposado, and they went, what? And then they tasted it, and they're like, oh my God. It's just, it's that. And, that's some hype to it, but the thing about it is, it deserves it. It's that good. Like I said, there's only a few bottles that really kind of smack you up along the backside of your head and say, hey, you need to drink more of this, or you like this, don't you? And they're there. That Pardilla that's sitting on the shelf, that was one. Of course, my first try of Fortaleza Reposado did that to me. And then when I first tried the first Añejo from them, it was just like, oh, how does that little bit more time add that much to it? And that gets me on that whole freight train of tequila. It made me explore more. And that's when I got my Reposado Rare. And that's when I got, I got the Mundial Knob Creek. And I got my Tears. And I got this. And I got that. And I got some more of this. And I went through this brand. And I went through that brand. And there's ones that come along that just stand out. And you're like, oh my God. 3 bottles of SVD. There's something there, I'm pretty sure, that made me want to continue going down the Cascahuin rabbit hole. And just some amazing stuff. Trying out a lot of things from NOM 1414 has brought, another rabbit hole. With all the brands, that's the thing. It's not just one brand with them, it's all of them. So, and staying traditional type tequilas. I mean, all the ones on my shelves, all are. I mean, in one way or not, they're all traditional to me. Yes, a lot of them use roller mills. But when you have a roller mill product that outshines maybe some Tahona products, and they definitely outshine anything that's coming from some other distilleries that we will not discuss. And do they command that higher price? To a point, my answer is yes. But I think we get taken advantage of because of our disability of location. I like that word. If we lived in Texas or we lived in California, we could easily cross the border and go down and get probably a lot of these tequilas, or even go all the way down. If we live closer to Tequila, and I mean the city of Tequila, if we live closer to Jalisco, we would be able to justify a day trip down there and back with bottles that we enjoy. But when you live double that distance, that makes it really hard. And you almost justify the extra expense of not having to do all that traveling. Because that's going to get expensive after a while. So, it's all in what, are you into it like me? Are you into it like my friend CJ? Are you into it like my brother-in-law Brad? You like it? You have some rare bottles, but you're not going to spend that kind of money on a regular basis. And trust me, I understand. But that's not the, he enjoys it and he has what he enjoys. He's not going any farther than that. I like to experiment a little farther. I know CJ does too. My friend Jamie, again, same way. They have way more bottles than I do. They've experimented way more than I have. They've been into it way longer than I have. But I think in the short amount of time that I've been into this, I made a nice dent, and it's a little impressive, just in the broadness of it, and all my, like I said, 90% of my bottles are open. So, do I recommend Cascahuin the private barrels? Hell yes. Get as many as you can. If you can try one before you buy it, do it. If you can't, go and research it. Watch reviews. I know Doug Price on the Agave Social, on his Instagram, Facebook page. He's got tons of reviews. Long Island Luke, tons of reviews. Some of the other, all the guys out of the New York, New Jersey Agave Club, they do reviews as well. Greg, Aged Agave, and the guys out of the club, they do them. There's other ones all over that do reviews of these hard to find bottles because they found them and they want to share their knowledge with us, like I am sharing with you. Like I said, this bottle for me, I got it at what I was willing to pay for it, and we'll leave it at that. It went, still goes way high. I just in doing research for this found it at one place for $499. No, I didn't pay anywhere close to that for it. Not even close. But paid a little more than I wanted to. But I didn't pay as much as I did for that bottle right there. Of course, I thought it was this size. That was okay for that size. But, hey, I'm still kicking myself for that one. But when I open it, I'll probably say, well, it was worth it. But we'll see when that time comes and let you guys know. But yeah, it's and people are like, oh well, tequila collecting is just so expensive. It is. It's not inexpensive. I mean, when you can go buy for what I paid for this. Let's see, you could have bought easily bought 6 bottles of bourbon for this one bottle. Now, higher quality bourbon that would have been up to par with this. Well, in some cases it would be 1, some cases it would be 2, or this hasn't reached that pinnacle yet. We're getting into Pappy territory there, and that's not a great comparison. This is 6 months old, and Pappy starts at 10. Again, you're paying for aging, just like with tequila. Blancos are more inexpensive, more reasonably priced. Repos aren't too bad, and Yejos start getting a little pricey. Extra Yejos throw it out there, and private barrels are sometimes out of this world in price. Not always. I've got a really nice Siete Leguas Añejo. It's a private barrel too, but it was $100, and that was, I won't call it secondary, but that was including shipping. I think it ran for only $80 regular MSRP, somewhere around there, $80, $90. So there are really good bottles out there that aren't all that expensive, and then there's really good bottles from certain ones that are limited, that somebody has to go down there and mule them back across the thing, and then of course they're going to get sold on the secondary market. But you going to drive down there every time a bottle comes available? No. But I noticed there is a Facebook group that you have to join that's looking to do single barrel for the club. I'm interested. I'm all in. Will I buy a bottle? Well, that'll depend on the price, what they end up with. But I don't have a problem, saving up to buy one of those bottles. So that's me. That's not your average Joe. I got guys that I know that make more money than I do, and when I tell them the prices of these bottles, they absolutely freak out. But they have mortgages and they have car payments and they have different things like that. I don't have some of that stuff. That's how that allows me to do these things. Like I said, limited. special edition bottles that just are exceptional. Sometimes, I see similarities to guys that have vintage wine collections. They go to auctions, they go to these things, and they buy these vintage bottles of Chardonnay and Pinot Noir and Burgundy, and they pay hundreds of dollars and thousands of dollars a bottle. Yeah, so, but they're old. And I know I get it. I'm joking, but I'm not into wine. I'm just not. I like what wine does to tequila. The wine barrels do to tequila. I'm not into the wine. That's just not in my flavor palette. Somebody's gonna say, "Oh, well, you need to try." You know what? I will, and I have some people I have in mind that will probably want to help me along that. I don't think I'm going there, but I like experimenting with the idea of how this influences that, just like that bottle of that bottle of Booker's up there was influenced by a tequila, and how the original bottle, the 30th anniversary bottle of Booker's, influenced that tequila. That was last week's video. Y'all check it out if you haven't seen it. So I mean, that's one of those things that I've gotten to the point where I want to see why this does that, and if I can't go to Mexico on a regular basis, like some people do. I'm not saying that everybody goes all the time. There's certain people that seem to be there half the month, or at least 1 week a month. They're down there, and I know they're working on things, and I know that they're not just down there playing, which that would be me. But enjoy what you drink. Respect what you drink. My buddy up in Chicago, Gabi Love and Lore, bless his heart. It rings true through everything you say. And I made a little comment. I made a comment on Facebook today because I got given a membership to a thing, and I was like, all right. He gave me a double thumbs up. It was good. It's just we're having fun here, folks, and enjoying what we drink, and just having a good time with it. It's all about the experiment. It's all about the enjoyment of it, and that's where I'm at. So, till we meet again, salud. Enjoy your tequila, and always drink good tequila. It'll make you happy. See you soon.